To the advanced empires of the galaxy, Earth was nothing more than a bad joke. They looked at our primitive rockets and our constant wars, and they laughed. High Commander Xylar labeled the human race as Class 3, harmful, a minor pest to be ignored. He placed a cage around our solar system and forgot about us. It was the single biggest mistake in galactic history. He did not know that humans do not accept cages. He did not realize that our primitive weapons carried the power of burning stars. Within just 12 months, the mighty alien fleets would be turned into scrap metal, their shields would be shattered, and the Council would be hiding in the dark, trembling in fear. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was the quietest and most peaceful place in the universe. It was a giant room made of polished white stone and floating golden lights. Here, the leaders of 1,000 different alien worlds gathered to decide the fate of the galaxy. In the center of the room stood High Commander Xylar. He was a tall, elegant alien with pale blue skin and long, thin fingers. Today, he was very bored. The galaxy was at peace, and his job felt like simple paperwork. He looked at the giant holographic map floating in the air and swiped his hand toward a dark, quiet corner of space. A small, blue planet zoomed into view. It looked tiny and insignificant against the darkness of the void. This was Earth. Xylar adjusted the sensors to look closer at the planet. The data flooded the screen, and the other council members leaned in to watch. What they saw made them uncomfortable. The inhabitants, known as humans, were messy and loud. They were soft creatures with no natural armor or claws, yet they were incredibly violent. The screen showed constant wars. Humans fought each other over small strips of land, resources, and even invisible border lines. Their technology was primitive and dangerous. Xylar watched with amusement as a human rocket attempted to launch. To leave their planet, humans strapped themselves to metal tubes filled with explosive liquid and lit a fire underneath. It looked less like science and more like madness. The High Commander laughed, a sound like dry leaves crinkling. He did not see a threat, he saw a comedy. The Council briefly debated what to do with this chaotic world. One advisor suggested destroying the planet to ensure the violence did not spread, but Xylar shook his head. He believed it was a waste of energy. The humans were trapped by their own heavy gravity. They had barely visited their own moon. They were like angry insects trapped in a glass jar, fighting each other because they could not escape. They were too primitive to join the Council, but too weak to be a real enemy. Xylar stepped up to the main console to assign the official classification. He ignored the safe label because humans were aggressive. He ignored the deadly label because they had no real space fleet. Instead, he selected the middle option. With a dismissive wave of his hand, he typed the command, Class 3, harmful. This label meant the planet was dangerous, but only to itself or to anyone foolish enough to land there. To finish the job, he ordered a standard energy barrier to be placed around the solar system. It was a simple, do not touch, warning, a digital fence meant to warn travelers to stay away. Xylar believed the humans would never be smart enough or strong enough to reach the barrier. He closed the file and walked away, confident that Earth would never matter to the galaxy. He was completely wrong. 3 months passed quickly, and the Galactic Council forgot about Earth. Deep in the cold darkness near Pluto, a small alien patrol ship sat silently. This ship was called the Silent Watcher, and its captain was a small, four-eyed creature named Glip. His job was very boring. He was supposed to watch the energy barrier that Xylar had placed around the human solar system. The barrier was invisible and strong, like a wall made of solid light. Glip assumed nothing could get out. He spent his days napping and cleaning his sensors. He thought the primitive humans were stuck on their blue marble forever, fighting their petty wars. He did not know that humans look at walls differently than other species. To an alien, a wall is a limit. To a human, a wall is a challenge. Suddenly, the silence of space was shattered. The alarm on Glip's console screamed, flashing bright red lights that hurt his 4 eyes. The sensors showed something impossible. The energy barrier was not just touched, it was smashed open. A massive tear appeared in the invisible wall, and the ship burst through. It did not look like the smooth, elegant silver ships of the Council. This vessel looked like a flying brick. It was a dark, ugly block of steel, welded together with thick plates and covered in scars. It leaked radiation and heat into the cold vacuum. It did not move gracefully through space, it brute-forced its way through, tearing a hole in reality with a violent engine that shook Glip's own ship. Captain Glip panicked and quickly activated his communication systems. He sent a standard warning message to the human vessel, demanding that they power down and return to their cage. He expected them to be confused or frightened by his advanced technology. Instead, the humans ignored his order completely. A few seconds later, the Silent Watcher received a ping. It wasn't a message of peace, and it wasn't a plea for mercy. The humans had hacked Glip's system in seconds and downloaded his patrol map. They sent the map back to him with a simple red target painted on his location. It was a threat. They were telling him that they knew exactly where he was. Terrified, Glip decided to show force. He fired a warning shot, a focused beam of green plasma meant to disable their engines. The beam hit the human ship, but instead of exploding, the ship's thick metal armor absorbed the heat. The humans did not slow down. A turret on the side of the steel brick turned slowly toward Glip. It did not charge up energy or glow. It simply fired a solid slug of tungsten metal at incredible speed. It was a primitive weapon, basically a giant bullet, but it moved so fast that physics took over. The slug punched straight through Glip's high-tech shields like a needle through paper. It smashed his engine, leaving him drifting in the dark. Before Glip could even understand what happened, the human ship engaged its engines and vanished into the galaxy, free to roam. The news of the destroyed patrol ship reached the High Council, and High Commander Xylar was no longer laughing. He was annoyed. It felt like finding a rat in a clean kitchen. He decided that the humans needed to be taught a harsh lesson. He did not want to start a full war, he just wanted to punish them. He ordered the launch of the Correction Fleet. This was a group of 50 massive warships, painted in dark, scary colors. Their mission was simple: go to Earth, destroy a few major cities, and scare the humans back into their caves. Xylar was absolutely sure that once the humans saw the giant alien ships blocking their sun, they would surrender immediately. He sat back in his safe office to watch the operation, expecting a quick and easy victory. The fleet arrived instantly near Earth's moon. The alien commander, a proud soldier named Zorg, looked down at the blue planet. He prepared a speech about power and submission, expecting the humans to beg for mercy. But he never got the chance to speak. On the surface of Earth, something amazing happened. For the first time in history, all the nations stopped fighting each other. They looked up at the sky, saw the alien threat, and they did not feel fear. They felt a rush of adrenaline. Every military base on the planet coordinated in seconds. Missile silos opened in deserts, oceans, and mountains. Within minutes, thousands of missiles were launching into the sky, leaving trails of white smoke. Commander Zorg watched his screens and laughed. He thought they were primitive rockets that would bounce off his shields. Zorg made a fatal mistake. He assumed the humans were firing energy weapons like lasers, which his shields were designed to block. But humans used something much dirtier. They used nuclear warheads. These were physical missiles carrying the raw heat of a star. When they hit the alien shields, they didn't just bounce off, they detonated. The sheer heat and massive shock waves overloaded the delicate alien systems. The shields shattered like glass. Before the aliens could recover from the blinding light, the second wave arrived. It wasn't more missiles. It was a drone swarm. Millions of tiny, unmanned fighter jets flew out of Earth's orbit. They looked like a cloud of angry metal locusts. The Correction Fleet fell into total chaos. The big, slow alien ships could not hit the tiny, fast human drones. The drones swarmed over the alien vessels, clamping onto the hulls and cutting through the metal with industrial saws and drills. Zorg screamed orders, but his ship was already being taken apart while he was still inside it. The humans were not just destroying the fleet, they were dissecting it. They wanted the engines, the computers, and the weapons for themselves. In less than an hour, the mighty correction fleet was gone. It had been turned into a floating junkyard of spare parts. Back in the council hall, Xylar stared at the blank screen in total silence. He realized that correction had failed miserably. He had just given the humans 50 advanced warships to play with. 6 months had passed since the great battle above Earth, and the mood in the Galactic Council had changed completely. It was no longer a place of arrogant laughter, it was a place of nervous whispers. High Commander Xylar sat at his desk, reading terrifying reports from his spies. The humans had not just destroyed the 50 ships of the correction fleet, they had recycled them. In secret underground labs, human scientists had taken the advanced alien engines apart to see how they worked. They learned the secrets of faster-than-light travel in just a few months, something that took other species centuries to understand. But the humans did not just copy the technology. They changed it to fit their own crazy style. Alien engines were originally built to be smooth, quiet, and safe. They had sophisticated computers that automatically stopped the ship if it went too fast or got too hot. The humans looked at these safety manuals and threw them in the trash. They did not care about safety, they only cared about power. They tore out the limiters and connected the alien engines to their own raw nuclear reactors. Now, the human ships vibrated violently and spit fire from the exhaust. They were unstable, loud, and leaked radiation, but they were faster than anything the Council had ever seen. The humans had built a new fleet of Frankenstein ships, welded together with mismatched parts and painted with scary designs like shark teeth. They were ready to hunt. The first disaster happened in Sector 7, a peaceful mining zone full of valuable asteroids. The new human fleet jumped in without warning. They did not ask for permission to enter. They swarmed the asteroid belt like hungry wolves. They needed metal to build even more ships, and they decided to take it all. They used mining lasers that were overpowered, melting the rocks as they drilled. The local alien miners watched in horror as the humans strip-mined the entire system in just 2 days. It was a robbery on a galactic scale, and the humans ignored every environmental law in the book. A heavy council destroyer ship arrived to stop the illegal mining. The alien captain ordered the humans to surrender immediately. The humans responded with something impossible. They had found an alien tractor beam, a tool used to gently pull small cargo boxes. The humans had rewired it and made it 1,000 times stronger. They aimed the beam at a small moon drifting nearby. With a groan of straining metal, the human ship pulled the moon out of its orbit and swung it like a massive hammer. They threw the moon directly at the council destroyer. The alien captain stared in disbelief as a giant rock crushed his ship flat. The council finally realized the truth: these humans were not just soldiers. They were mad scientists with very big guns. By the 9th month, the war was no longer being fought near Earth. The humans had pushed the front line all the way to the council's own doorstep. The peaceful planets of the inner circle were now in panic mode. The humans had discovered how the alien military communicated, and they decided to break it. They did not just jam the signals with static, they replaced the signals with noise. Every alien radio and communication screen suddenly started broadcasting loud, screaming human music and videos of chefs chopping meat with big knives. The alien commanders tried to shout orders to their fleets, but their voices were drowned out by the sound of heavy metal guitars and drums. The council fleet could not coordinate, and the confusion was total. The humans were winning the psychological war before the shooting even started. High Commander Xylar made one last desperate attempt to save his civilization. He gathered every remaining ship in the galaxy to form the Grand Armada. There were 10,000 sleek, silver warships waiting in formation. It was the largest fleet ever assembled. Xylar believed that sheer numbers would defeat the humans. He waited in his command center, watching the sensors, expecting to see a swarm of human ships appear. But the humans did not send a swarm. Space tore open, and a single, monstrous shadow emerged. The humans called it the Titan. It was a ship the size of a floating city, built entirely from the broken pieces of the ships they had destroyed in previous battles. It was ugly, jagged, and covered in thick armor plates. It looked like a flying mountain of scrap metal. The alien captains prepared to fire their lasers at the giant target, but the Titan attacked first. It did not fire missiles or plasma beams. Instead, the massive ship charged up a strange, blue ring around its hull. With a deep hum that vibrated through the hulls of the nearby ships, the Titan released a massive magnetic pulse. It was a shockwave of pure electricity. It washed over the Grand Armada instantly. The effect was immediate. The lights on 10,000 alien ships flickered and died. Engines shut down. Weapons systems went offline. The sophisticated alien computers fried instantly. In 1 second, the most powerful fleet in the galaxy became a collection of floating metal boxes. Drifting helplessly in the dark, the aliens looked out of their windows in terror. They saw thousands of small, breach pods launching from the Titan. These were small capsules carrying human soldiers. They slammed into the silent alien ships, drilling through the airlocks. The humans were not there to destroy the ships, they were there to steal them. Xylar watched the reports vanish from his screen one by one. The humans were boarding his navy, capturing the crews, and taking control of the bridges. They were stealing the entire Grand Armada. Xylar realized with horror that by building such a huge fleet, he had just given the humans the biggest gift in history. It was exactly 365 days since the original assessment, and the Great Hall of the Council was silent once again. But this silence was different. It was not the silence of peace, it was the heavy silence of a graveyard. High Commander Xylar stood before the holographic map, but he was no longer the proud leader he used to be. His uniform was wrinkled, his hands shook uncontrollably, and he looked 100 years older. The map told a terrifying story. The small, blue dot of Earth was no longer contained in a corner. It had spread like an aggressive virus. The blue territory now covered 10 major star systems. The humans had not just broken their cage, they had paved a highway over it. A final message blinked on the main screen. It was not a formal diplomatic letter written in elegant code. It was a raw text message sent on an open frequency. It read simply, "Leave us alone, and we won't take your capital city." The other council members trembled as they read it. They finally understood the true nature of humanity. Most species in the galaxy avoided conflict because it drained their resources. Humans were the opposite. Conflict was their fuel. Every time the council attacked them, the humans stole the technology, improved it, and used it to get stronger. Fighting them was like trying to put out a fire by pouring gasoline on it. The council realized that if they continued the war, the humans would not just win, they would own the entire universe by the weekend. Xylar walked slowly to the main console. He felt the weight of every mistake pressing down on his shoulders. He opened the file marked Earth. He looked at the old tag he had written just 1 year ago, Class 3, harmful. He let out a bitter, dry laugh. How foolish he had been. He deleted the tag. His fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment, trembling. Then, he typed the new truth, the only label that fit a species that turned war into an art form. The screen flashed red as he confirmed the new status, Class 1, Apocalyptic. He did not stop there. Under the new classification, he added a special instruction for all future captains and travelers. He typed, "Do not engage. Do not scan. Do not even look in their direction. If you see a human ship, run." Xylar turned off the map, plunging the room into darkness. He ordered the closing of all warp gates leading to the outer rim. The Galactic Council, once the rulers of the stars, decided to lock their own doors and hide in the dark. They had learned the hardest lesson of all: in a galaxy full of predators, the humans were the ones who hunted the hunters.